What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's going to be relatively special in terms of not really going into sound design or production related things, but more so on giving you a guide of how to have good etiquette on the internet as a producer. Now, these things are kind of somewhat self-explanatory or kind of common sense, but sometimes there's a lot of gray area, especially when you're a brand new producer that's trapped, say, in quarantine, and you just made a beat and you really want to get it out to somebody, or you're really trying to figure out how to share your information in the best way. Now, for you, it's totally fine to be excited whenever you want to share music or whenever you want to share information in general, but if you kind of take note of these and take all these ideas with a grain of salt, then I think that it will optimize your experience on networking as far as the interactions that you have in the online environment of music producers. So following today, I would say grab yourself a cup of coffee, and I've done so myself. I will be taking many breaks in between on this, and I've provided a time-lapse video for you guys to watch while I talk about some absolute nonsense. And by the way, if you guys have anything that you'd like to bring up as far as what you would consider to be good etiquette, or you guys have some disagreements or something, then please let me know in the comments. And if you can, share this video, because this is meant to raise the collective conscious of the kind of group that we have. I think that for the most part, there's a lot of electronic producers out there, but at the same time, especially if you're a member of Twitch, we all kind of know each other, and I think that there's a lot of common ground that we can all cover in between. So grab yourself a copy, grab a chair, grab some headphones, and enjoy the time lapse. Okay, it's quarantine, you can't leave your house, you have no friends, and you just made a song, and what do you want to do? You're looking for feedback, and the easiest thing to do is to go on to twitch.tv, look up some feedback stream, go right into the channel and be like, bruh, feedback, bruh, feedback, bruh, feedback, bruh, feedback, come on, feedback, bruh, feedback. Don't do that. Don't do that. Instead, what I would do is a few things. The first thing that I would do is actually look for streams that actually say that they're giving feedback, and rather than posting your link on the channel, try to look at some of the guidelines or see if they have any rules. Sometimes different streamers have different kinds of regulations or rules to which they give feedback. For example, on Wednesdays, if you step into the Whittler's channel, he has a raffle. If you step into my channel on Thursdays, then I kind of just go on a case-by-case basis because I'm kind of a smaller stream. Some people prefer that you upload in the Discord, but you might not know, and sometimes if you kind of just go balls deep without even taking a look at what someone's setup is, then you might be deterred from people wanting to give you a positive feedback environment experience. Aside from that, one thing that's really going to help you as well with looking for feedback is actually trying to figure out or find a community that makes similar music to you. For example, I recently found Wolgstream, who is a glitch IDM producer, and I kind of have taken that direction with my own music myself, and he is kind of the perfect or ideal community for trying to receive feedback on that end, because I know that these people are going to know what I'm trying to go for and they're going to see my vision. Sometimes people come into my channel and ask me for feedback on like rock tunes and stuff, and while I'm pretty open-minded to trying to give somebody feedback in that realm, that's not really where my experience lies. For a lot of you people that are producing trap or so, I think that it would be easier for you to find a larger amount of communities, because hip-hop is relatively the most common electronic genre I believe that we have, but we all tend to have our specialties, and so it would really benefit you to try to find some place that you fit into. Whenever you actually get feedback, or let's say you are waiting to get feedback, let's cover a couple of ground things that are going to help you out. First things first, don't complain about your spot in the queue. Just don't be that guy. Sometimes people have a lot of viewers in their channel, and they might not even have time to get to you, but you have to realize that a lot of people, especially streamers, are taking the time out of their day to listen to your song. And while you might think it's the greatest thing ever, some people have different priorities in which they're trying to go. I have a really close friend that I enjoy sending my songs to, but he's also makes music and sometimes he's really busy. So whenever you set it or you send it to somebody, give them some time, or give it without the expectation of having to receive something back, even if you value their opinion by quite a bit. The next thing is, don't disagree with feedback. If somebody gives you an opinion on something, it's because you asked. So if you don't agree with it yourself, that's totally fine, and whether you take advice or not is also another story. But when you disagree with feedback, it basically just means that you're upset that they don't like the song, or they don't see your tune in the same vision that they did. So the next thing is, don't make a minor adjustment to your tune after receiving some feedback and upload it again right away, especially if it's something like a mix or tuning your snare. You know, if somebody's like, hey, you should probably do this, or maybe you should, turn up the levels of this particular instrument, and you do it and then you upload and then you're like, how about now? Don't do that. Whenever you do feedback, try to get as much information as you can, so that way when you collect enough data, you can make the bigger adjustments and put a lot of work into it, or make a significant adjustment before you ask somebody for help again. Because otherwise, it just makes it seem like we're trying to listen to the same thing over and over again, and we're basically telling you how to make your song, and nobody wants to do that. I mean, even if we did want to do that, we can't, because it's your tune, and you have to have the confidence to make those decisions on your own, and you should have the confidence to make those decisions on your own. If you are giving feedback, sometimes this is really difficult for people, whether we like doing it or not. I particularly like doing it because it helps me try to problem solve musical situations that I normally wouldn't put myself in, but not everybody has that mindset, and that's totally okay. So whenever you're giving feedback to somebody, there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. The first thing is that that these tunes sometimes are really important to people, so you want to be mindful of what you say. Don't say, well, this sounds like crap, or it's just total doo-doo, or something terrible of that mindset, because that could really upset somebody and deter their motivation for making music in the future. Instead, try to offer something creative. If somebody is working on a song and they're trying to get an intro, maybe I would say something along the lines of, hey, maybe you can take this element from your main section and drench it in reverb and use that as ambience for an introduction to the main section itself. And while that might not be the feedback that they're looking for, it's going to help them change their perspective and how they see their tune, as opposed to whether their decisions are right or wrong. Because at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong with music. It's whether a means of if the individual's perspective matches and a likeness to it or not. So, within feedback, be respectful, try to give somebody constructive criticism, and don't be verbally abusive of, oh, this is terrible and it sucks and I can't do it, or whatever, because you're just wasting everyone's time, which kind of goes into the whole thing as well. If you're going to give feedback, or if you're going to search for feedback on something, try to have a significant piece of audio that someone can really dive into. If you've got a 10-second clip and being like, hey, feedback, or you have insignificant idea that there's no visual direction or no audio direction to, then it's really hard for some people to even say something about it. So try to get as far as you can in your tune before you start asking for some advice. The next thing I want to talk about is streaming. The first thing whenever people are streaming is there's a couple of things to consider. One is, I hope that you all treat every single producer that's on stream with respect, because they are opening up their creative process to you. Now, some people like to stream for attention, and that's a different thing, and that's totally fine, but at the end of the day, usually when we make music, it's meant to be shared in some case or another. What part of the process we do that is up to the individual, but even still, a lot of us are showing things that are, not that well known, or maybe some things that somebody may or may not have paid a lot of money to figure out. So whenever you're doing that, or whenever you're watching somebody, give them a little bit of patience, for one, of whenever they're trying to sort something out, but also, again, treat them with respect and gratitude of, hey, this person doesn't have to show me anything, especially if they're a big producer. You know how much stuff I've learned from the Whittler's channel? So much stuff, and he does it for free. Alright, so some things that you don't want to do is, you don't want to backseat produce unless if the streamer or the person that you're overseeing asks you for it, because you don't want to impose your bias on someone else's tune, especially if it doesn't match up. I like suggestions generally, and I generally ask, hey, how does this sound, or what do you guys think about this, or does this sound kind of off or something. But when someone is literally trying to tell somebody how to make music, especially through Twitch chat, then it's going to become counterproductive. I haven't ever seen that work, and I'm not saying that it doesn't, but generally, at least for me, I don't like when people do that, or when somebody disagrees with the situation that I put myself into. So if I make a creative decision and someone's like, no, don't do that, or why did you do that? It's like, bro, bam. Maybe not. I'm not that mean, but you kind of want to be mindful of that kind of thing, because it's not your tune. It's the person who's making its tune, unless if it's a somehow Twitch collaborative tune, which is a different story, but I think you get what I'm saying. So this is kind of like going in with the feedback thing as well, but me personally, I love questions, but if you're going to ask a question, try to do it in the right time and the right context. Like, don't ask a question when somebody is in the middle of explaining something else, especially when the Twitch chat can be somewhat distracting. If I'm talking about how to make a snare and then somebody arbitrarily is like, yeah, okay, but what about bass? I'm like, yo, like, we're on a different topic right now, which, you know, I like getting to and stuff, but sometimes you kind of want to be mindful, and if you actually refrain from the question and you listen for a little bit, then you might actually get the answer that you're looking for without even asking the question. So it's important to listen, especially if you're seeking knowledge in someone else's stream. So some big no-nos is don't try to one-up another producer on their stream. And that's kind of goes along with what I was saying from before of being like, oh, well, my tune sounds way better than this, or if you like that, then you should listen to my, or yeah, why are you watching this stream? Go back in it. I almost never see that, but I have seen it before, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Don't be that guy. If you're a streamer or you're somebody that makes music live in the same way, the best way that I feel like you can put yourself out there is to rate other people, to host other people, or to ask the person that you're streaming that you look up to maybe some overall guidelines of how to grow yourself as a Twitch stream or YouTube streamer or whatever it is that you do. It needs to always, as long as it always comes from a place of respect, I think that you usually can't go wrong. But don't just try to take somebody's viewers just because you don't know how else to grow. It's not the right thing to do. Yeah, so don't advertise on someone else's channel, and don't try to act like you're better than somebody else or that you know more than someone else, because you never really know what someone else's knowledge pool is. And the thing about that too is that the realm of musical knowledge, especially in the electronic world, is incredibly dense, and there's so many different fields that someone can take for expertise. For example, I know somebody that's really well versed in wavetable synthesis. I know someone that's really well versed in resampling. I myself try to focus more on bass and drum design, but even then, some people still teach me some things about the things that I already know. DMTR would be a great example of that. So whenever you're doing that and you're exchanging information, be sensitive about how you communicate, even if you disagree with somebody. You know, it's okay to disagree. It's not okay to hate on each other. As a Twitch streamer, you can feel free to disagree with me, but for me personally, I feel like anytime I make an effort to bring a community together, it's my personal responsibility to make sure that people have a safe space to share information or to be social in a particular environment. When somebody new steps into your stream, they are stepping into your domain, and they are stepping into your realm, and you know, you have rules and regulations set up that those people need to follow. But I would advise you to be careful and to show all of the new people respect, even if you are a bigger channel, because it's very easy for you and your regular viewers to, you know, jokingly criticize somebody or jokingly say something and somebody takes it the wrong way and you never see them again. Now, to an average person, you might not care about that, but again, every person that you interact with has an opportunity to be something amazing or special. So I would try to, you don't have to, but I would recommend showing each and every person that same respect for the very first person that came into your stream, because they might be lifelong members, they might be lifetime subscribers, or they might just be really cool people. Likewise, when you first step into a Twitch chat, don't be a jerk. So finally, we have some general things that I kind of wanted to cover with this, and this is going to be a few topics that you can kind of cover to just, again, enhance your user experience, because nobody likes when you're yeah. First things first, as far as the general advice goes, is collab, bro. Yo, dog, you want to collab? Yeah, you want to collab? Bro, you want to collab? Yeah, dude, we should totally collab, bro. Collab? Unless if you're actually serious about doing a project with someone, don't ask them. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it, because a lot of times people don't take it serious. But if you say, hey, I've got this idea that I'm working on and I would really like you to be a part of it, then the overall attitude completely shifts. Now, there's nothing wrong with you guys starting a collaboration and it not working out, because sometimes that just happens. It's happened to me plenty of times before, and it's important not to be salty over that. It's always okay to revisit those kinds of things, but you want to be mindful of that. But the more prepared you are to go into a collaboration with somebody, the higher chance of success I think that you're going to walk into. So if you initiate, I would advise you to have some material prepared. Give somebody an idea, send them something if you really want to collaborate with them, or ask for something specific. And regarding that, if you are going to collaborate with someone, there's a two-way street with this. It's important to know that it's a give and take situation. So on one end, you don't want somebody to make the entire tune for you and expect them to put your name on it. Likewise, you want to make sure that you're giving the other person enough creative input whenever you guys are exchanging ideas back and forth that it kind of feels like an even balance. And it might be 70-30 sometimes, it might be 50-50, but if you come from a place of compromise, and you understand that it's not going to sound exactly how you'd envision it, you remember you're the one that wanted to collaborate in the first place, then you're going to have a much more enjoyable time and you're going to figure out how to interact with people in such a way. Likewise, if you do have a different idea, then there's nothing wrong with creating a separate version of that and doing maybe a VIP version or something. So keep that in mind if you're collaborating with someone and it's not really working out. In regards to that, be respectful of someone else's time. So I understand that, especially if you're getting close to being in a professional world, you might have some kind of, you might have some kind of deadline, or you might have some kind of expectation, but keep in mind that, especially if you're in quarantine right now, that a lot of the things you're going to be doing are going to be online. So you need to respect someone else's time, both in meeting someone else's deadline if you're expected to do something, but also of being open to communication. If you're unable to work on a project or something, let them know. Be like, yo, man, or if you don't have any ideas, don't just leave the person hanging. Likewise, you have to be patient enough to let the person work in their creative way. Just because you can write a tune in a day doesn't mean that the other person can. I know of some people that have spent 2 years working on a single tune. And to me, that's absolutely insane, but that's how some people work. Be mindful of their time and respect their time. If you reach out for privates, which a lot of you have reached out to me, which thank you so much, by the way. I love doing one-on-one classes with you all. But if you're reaching out to a new, or maybe let's say an established artist, or even a label or so, there's definitely a way to approach it in such a manner that even if they say no, they're still going to feel like you're respectful to them. So as opposed to being like, bro, can you teach me something? Or, yo, I want to do a private with you or set up a lesson. Reach out to them, give them a compliment about their artistry, tell them something that you like personally, and tell them why you actually want to do a private with them. And the more that you explain in that manner, the more that you're going to help develop a relationship. One piece of advice that I think is going to be super helpful to you is don't go into a private with an established artist and ask how to do something that another artist does. For example, if I'm going to ask Cohen Sound for a private, not that I've ever done that before, I'm not going to ask him how to sound like Matthews. I'm going to ask him how to sound like Cohen Sound. For some people, I don't imagine that you guys know me for my music. I imagine that you know me through YouTube and the tutorials I make. It's kind of okay to ask how to sound like someone else because you don't really even know what my music is. But if you're a fan of someone else's, then you go to them because you want to learn what that artist is doing. So keep that in mind. So finally, one last thing that I want to bring up is, and this, I don't mean this as a caveat or a cop-out by any means, but one thing that can really help is actually showing support to the community. And I don't necessarily mean by donating or subscribing to them on Twitch or whatever, but if you really like somebody or you really believe in someone else's work or you make friends, do your part and share their stuff. All the donations and stuff and all of the purchases that you guys have made on my website, don't get me wrong, have been absolutely amazing, and I do appreciate that, and that is a way to support me. But if you like my music, share my music. If I like your music, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to share it. And that's one way to help each other grow and really to not only build your own fan base, but help somebody else grow as well, because you never know who's going to be helping you out in the future as well. There's a ton of people that have helped me out and get to this point of where I'm at. And if you want the same for yourself, you got to give a little as well. And you should want to do that because it makes the community stronger. So if you are in the TLDW, too long didn't watch category, to summarize things, don't be a jerk. Be respectful of someone else's time and energy and their own projects of what they're doing. And really try to reflect on yourself of how you are perceived as opposed to what your expectations or what you think your expectations should be out of someone else whenever you introduce your music to them. We're not all gonna make it overnight, and it's gonna take all of us in order to get to where we want to be. So take your time, help each other out, and enjoy the process and make some friends. Make some quality friends. Don't come out of it as a means of trying to get your head over on somebody. Come at it as a means of really trying to network with people and connect with people that are going to teach you things, and there will be things that you teach them, and your experience, I guarantee, will be not only positive, but you're going to radiate that outward as well. And that's how you can become a positive influence. Otherwise, keep yourself in isolation and don't talk to anybody, because I don't want none of that negativity over in my neck of the woods. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have anything that you want to add to the etiquette ideology within this will be part 1. The second one will be how to actually make, or rather how to not make YouTube tutorials for music. But I'd love to hear what you guys think and what your opinions are. And if you can, show me some support by either subscribing. I have the Patreon, I've got the Discord that you should join, and I also have the Alchemy website that you can purchase my sample packs and preset packs from, that I put a lot of work into. And also, if you guys have actually purchased that, then I would love to know your thoughts on that, on the product. I'm hoping that you feel like they're full of quality, but I'm always, looking for feedback myself, because, well, you guys are buying it with your money, and I'm not out to take your dollars. I'm here to give you something that's going to be useful. So yeah, before I go, let's look at some resources that you can help get yourself started in if you like my kind of music, or if you're into the kind of heavy electronic music world. The big one is the Whittler. You can find him on Twitch. I will leave a link to the description of all of these. DMTR, Jangoza Music, Musar, Shroomhead1, Volant, Mr. Sketty. There is a Bitwig group on Facebook that you can join. You can also join my Discord, which is also in the description as well. And also glitch.cool, which is Woolg's Discord, where I've been kind of posting my own things for feedback as well. So yeah, any resources that you guys want to share as well that you think is useful and positive, then please feel free to share, and I will see you guys in the next video.